Great Northwoods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, a portion of the Old Town Bridge collapsed during reconstruction yesterday. We'll bring you those details coming up.
Plus, Senator Susan Collins says ICE agents in Maine now officially have body cameras. We'll have that story too.
And Mainers are fighting for the right to repair technology instead of having to buy brand new. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us on this Friday morning. We'll have all the day's news coming up. We also have a guest joining us a little later on from Herman. They're going to be telling us all about the Herman Summer Sizzler.
That sounds like a blast. They have so much stuff.
Yeah, they do. Even a slime run. I'm not sure what that is, but
we'll find out.
We'll hear about it later on. But first, a check of that forecast, and it's looking like a nice day ahead.
It is. We'll turn things over to meteorologist Evan Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Friday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. Your radar and satellite this morning. The last of the area low pressure is tracking off toward the north and to the east. So the last of the precipitation is done. We'll be under a partly cloudy sky today. The wind will be a little bit breezy at times, reaching up to about 25 miles per hour. Look at all the precipitation across parts of the Midwest. A lot of that is going on this morning. As for us, a lot calmer out there with a partly cloudy sky, and yes, we'll have the wind to deal with, but overall tonight we'll be under a mostly clear sky. So overall, there's the gusty winds today reaching up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour, and we'll lose the wind coming up later on tonight. Still a few gusts here or there, but nothing too ridiculous tonight in the parts of tomorrow. So for today, partly cloudy and breezy, upper 70s for the high, and that northwest wind getting up to about 25 miles per hour. The hourly forecast moving forward, lots of sunshine, some clouds for the afternoon, temperatures reaching for the upper 70s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
All right, thank you, Devin. We'll see you a little later on. Well, first this morning, multiple people are injured after a bridge collapse in Old Town yesterday. Portions of the Llewellyn Estes Bridge in Old Town collapsed while a construction crew was at work. According to the Maine Department of Transportation, the collapse happened at around 2 on Thursday afternoon while a construction crew was pouring concrete for a bridge deck. A local resident heard it all happen.
I live next street over. Heard a very loud sound, and I thought a crane maybe had toppled over. And then I went across the river from my house and I checked, and first I thought it was the temporary bridge that broken up, because a lot of heavy traffic, I can hear it all night long, big trucks rolling over. And then I took a better look and I realized that was the new bridge that collapsed. That's a big surprise to me.
The city's public safety officials tell us one person was sent to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, while 2 others were treated and released on the scene.
First unit on scene from us found out there was only 1 patient that needed transport with a leg injury, and 2 others with minor injuries that were treated on scene and released.
When you're driving there, that's what you're thinking, man, are we going to jump in the river, or is there going to be people stuck underneath it or trapped under concrete or something? And thank God that none of that occurred.
Both Chiefs Hildreth and White say that the temporary bridge was not damaged. Maine DOT officials have not released an exact cause for the collapse, but they say they are assessing that situation.
Well, meanwhile, authorities are investigating an alleged arson at a care facility in Waterville. It happened early Thursday morning. Investigators with the Fire Marshal's office responded to Woodlands Memory Care on West River Road in Waterville to investigate a reported fire there.
The Department of Public Safety says investigators determined that the fire started in a resident's bedroom and was intentionally set. Fire damage was limited to a laundry basket and comforter. All residents were evacuated from the facility and no one was injured. That investigation remains ongoing. Well, moving on now, a Bangor officer was injured after 2 people attempted to flee from a drug arrest on Wednesday. Spokesperson Katie England says that the officer spotted 61-year-old Julie Edwards of Bangor driving on Main Street and knew that she did not have a valid license. England says the officer stopped the car. One passenger gave him a false name and the other refused to identify himself. They were later identified as 43-year-old Adam Gray of Eddington and 44-year-old Kevin Gray of Bangor. England says drug paraphernalia was observed in the car, and when they were informed that they would be searched, Kevin and Adam ran. Both were arrested with the help of a police canine as Adam allegedly resisted. Adam and the other officer were taken to the hospital with minor injuries. All three people are facing charges of unlawful possession of drugs. Kevin and Adam Gray are charged with a refusal to submit to arrest and failure to give a correct name. Kevin Gray is also charged with assault on an officer.
Well, two men from New Jersey and another from the Bronx, New York, were arrested in Bangor as part of a joint investigation between Bangor Police and the Maine Drug Enforcement Agency. 28-year-old Diane Garcia and 27-year-old Arismendi Acosta of Paterson, New Jersey, and 30-year-old Jeremy Rodriguez of the Bronx, New York, were all arrested Wednesday after a week-long investigation into alleged drug trafficking in the downtown area. Maine drug agents say during the investigation, 3 men were seen handing out pieces of paper to people in a downtown park. They say agents determined that the pieces of paper contained a phone number utilized for the sale of drugs. Agents also watched the men conduct what they believed to be drug transactions. Maine drug agents say an undercover agent used that phone number to arrange a controlled purchase of cocaine base from Garcia. He was taken into custody shortly after that purchase, and at least one non-fatal overdose in the area was directly attributed to that group.
Well, meanwhile, a quick but important update on ICE enforcement in Maine. Senator Susan Collins says ICE agents in Maine now officially have body cameras. She said as of 2 p.m. yesterday, all ICE enforcement officers in Maine have been equipped with body-worn cameras and have been trained in their use. She says in a statement, quote, "When I spoke with ICE Acting Director Venturella last month, he committed to deliver body-worn cameras to ICE agents across the country by the end of August. I urged him to prioritize Maine, and they have arrived more than 2 weeks ahead of schedule."
Well, following the 4th driest July in Maine on record, experts warn drought conditions are expected to be in more parts of the state.
Our Grace Blanchard explains.
Parts of Maine have regressed back into severe drought, according to the latest data from the U.S. Drought Monitor.
The hardest hit areas are to the south, especially in the Mid-Coast region and York and Cumberland counties.
The Mid-Coast has worsened to severe drought, and abnormal dryness has now reached northern counties.
We have not been receiving the rainfall that we need in those sectors, and the Mid-Coast has consistently been on the short end of the rainfall that we've seen this summer.
This summer's drought is developing slower than last year's rapid dry spell. While major impacts are still unclear, experts warn conditions could worsen quickly.
And we do see a natural seasonal decline in our groundwater as we enter into fall. So if we're not able to replenish, then we're going to be faced with some pretty low groundwater levels in certain areas, and that could lead to a lot more dry wells.
Over 500 dry wells were reported to Maine's dry well survey in 2025.
For those who have well water, if you are in an impacted area, then it is important to start conserving water.
Maine is in need of several rounds of steady soaking rain to recharge the groundwater. However, Jameson said it's not looking promising.
The pattern that we're facing does not look very conducive for widespread soaking rainfall, and that leads us to conclude that this drought will either persist across the state or could probably deteriorate even further going into the fall.
In Orono, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
In other news this morning, former Governor Paul LePage announced a new endorsement for his congressional campaign at Sheridan Construction yesterday. Steve McAllister with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce shared that they are choosing to endorse LePage with the goal of boosting Maine's economy.
Now, Governor LePage's record is exactly what we are looking for at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, where we need members of Congress to go down to Washington, D.C. and keep in mind of the small businesses that make up our communities back home.
When I became governor, my goal was to make government smaller, not bigger. It was to make Maine workers keep more money in their pockets.
Well, meanwhile, LePage's Democratic opponent, Matt Dunlap, slammed LePage over his comments, calling Social Security welfare during his time as governor. During a press conference yesterday, Dunlap talked about LePage's record, which he said included vetoing Medicaid expansion 6 times, cutting the funding for the Meals on Wheels program, as well as turning down federal funding for Alzheimer's and dementia care. Dunlap says Maine is one of the oldest states in the nation in terms of population, and Social Security is critical.
Right now, members of LePage's own party and the people around them in Washington are pushing a 22% cut to Social Security benefits. When that fight comes, what side will Paul LePage be on? And you don't have to guess.
Dunlap says Maine seniors have earned their Social Security with decades of hard work, and they deserve to know that Social Security will exist for years to come.
Well, one of Bangor's most beloved nonprofits is working to rebuild after an unexpected setback.
As our Alex Schley tells us, this comes as their services are needed more than ever.
Called a company, they came in and said, it's not water, it's sewer.
A Bangor-based nonprofit has been forced to close part of its facility after a pipe broke last week.
My wife came running in the room saying, honey, the ceiling's just leaking all over the place. And I said, okay, went out there. And it was completely flooded.
Manna Ministries has served the Bangor community since 1991. And for the last decade, its Center Street location has been a place where residents can turn when they need a hot meal or other services.
But we lost it. We lost the ceiling, we lost the floor, we lost the bathroom.
In addition to structural repairs, Ray says all of the appliances in the kitchen also need to be replaced.
It's a commercial kitchen to serve a lot of people.
Ray says the kitchen is more important now than ever since the Together place closed at the end of last month.
Our numbers for dinner have gone up quite a bit, so now we're feeding about 50, 60 people a night.
Even with part of the facility out of commission, Ray says Manna has no plans to stop.
And on a personal level, it's like, okay, God, are you shutting this down or just testing us? We're getting tested, you know. Are you here for the long run? Yes. I'm 76 years old. I don't plan on quitting now.
And while the damage has created a setback, Ray says the community has made sure Manna isn't facing it alone. Local restaurants and other community members have stepped up donating food and offering whatever they can help.
The community cares enough to bring us food, the restaurants. I mean, Mo has been just fantastic. Chick-fil-A came over the other night with sandwiches and said, here, this is how we can help. That's what it's all about.
While they work to rebuild, Ray says serving the community will continue to be their central focus. For more information on how you can help, go to our website, foxbangor.com. In Bangor, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, the time now is 8:12. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, folks in Corinna came together to help a woman find her late husband's wedding ring. We'll share her story ahead.
But first, another look at that forecast. A nice day today, partly cloudy and breezy with high temperatures around 78 degrees. Mostly clear tonight with lows dropping down to the mid to low 50s. Tomorrow, another nice day, partly cloudy, highs near 79. We'll be right back.
What is Spectrum Internet? It's secure internet for you and your family.
It's keeping kids like us safe online.
It's everything you want it to be. Switch today at Spectrum.com.
If you believe in a campaign that's honest.
Honest. Troy Jackson was accused of mortgage fraud for falsifying documents to get a low-interest loan. Jackson billed taxpayers for massive travel expenses, even though his house was only a few miles from the state capitol. Who approved his taxpayer-funded expenses? He did. And Jackson was known for bullying women. Troy Jackson, falsifying documents, ripping off taxpayers, and a bully we can't trust. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
On the Road, broadcasting the news at 6, is brought to you by Hometown Health Services. Visit their new, exciting community health center in Palmyra for appointments, also in Dexter and Newport. Recharge Bangor, a whole-body recharging studio and wellness center, offering science-backed therapies dedicated to your total health and wellness. Top-notch detailing in Herman. Give me a call today to schedule your appointment at 232-2933.
At Spectrum, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between speed, reliability, and value. That's why Spectrum fiber-powered internet gives you all three for just $40 a month. Call now or go online.
Major League Baseball, all season long on Fox.
And off we go.
It's going home run, getting my feet to the toes now.
What a way to spend a Saturday night.
Sensational. You know that I'm killing them voices old ones.
Oh my goodness.
Come
Major League Baseball all season long on Fox.
Mainers are fighting for their right to repair their tech instead of buying new in the hopes of saving their money and the environment.
Our Calvin White shares that story.
A memorial service for obsolete tech was held outside of the state capitol on Thursday, highlighting the fight to curb companies from forcing consumers to routinely upgrade technology.
It's become very easy for manufacturers to lock the resources and materials you need to fix something, and that's basically been happening all across all kinds of products, from appliances to smartphones.
With tech prices rising along with other life expenses, these seemingly unavoidable replacements can be a large financial burden to Mainers.
These unethical and anti-consumer practices drive up costs. It makes a big difference to a family budget if you only have to replace a cell phone every 6 years instead of every 3.
The movement isn't just looking out for Mainers' bank accounts, but also for the environment. Adam Nordell of Environment Maine Conservation said Maine residents produce an estimated 34,000 tons of electronic waste each year.
And unfortunately, it's hard to recycle electronics, so too often they wind up getting trashed. So we need a right to repair law so that we can keep our devices usefully at home and out of the landfill.
Maine has had a right to repair law for vehicles since 2023, but lawmakers are looking to cover tech of all kinds. The bill nearly passed in the Maine Senate spring of 2026, but lost by just 2 votes. Senator Mike Tipping says he's sure it'll pass next time.
We came incredibly close, and a few seats changing hands this election will mean this law passes.
You buy something, you should get as much use as you want out of it. It shouldn't be someone else's decision when you have to retire it.
In Augusta, Calvin White, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, the community of Corinna came together last weekend to help a woman find a wedding ring belonging to her late husband.
Our Sam Miller tells us it's a precious recovery in the wake of a tragedy.
On July 31st, 2026, 41-year-old Dustin Leonard of Lewiston lost his life in an ATV accident while riding on a trail behind A.E. Robinson & Company in Corinna. His body was discovered by his wife, Christina. Leonard's funeral was held in Bangor on Monday. But earlier, Christina had received a phone call from the funeral home with more troubling news.
When my husband arrived at the funeral home called me and told me what things they had for me to pick up, but they did not mention the wedding ring. And I had like this vivid memory of giving him CPR and seeing the wedding ring. And it's just like a very cheap $20 sterling silver ring. It wasn't like it was this very expensive. It was just more of a sentimental value to me.
Christina posted on numerous community pages for help and was blown away by the overwhelming support.
I have no words. People were so kind and said so many kind things, and people went out there and took time out of their day to go look for the ring.
On Saturday, Greenville native Ben Bailey went to the trail with a metal detector, found the ring, and notified Christina immediately.
There was a picture of him in my messenger holding the ring, and I could not believe it. I still cannot believe it. I mean, it was a God thing. Like, there's no other way. And my husband knew that I needed that at that moment.
Dustin's memory will forever live on through his friends and family. Christina says this experience is a reminder to cherish every moment with the people in your life.
We tend to take things for granted, and we don't realize that life is so short, and moments like these make you realize that you never know what could happen. So love the people that love you and make sure you take every moment in and enjoy it.
That was Sam Miller reporting. Some very good advice there.
Very good advice, and I'm glad that they were able to find the ring.
Yeah.
Well, the time now is 8:19. After the break, more on the sailors aboard the USS Lincoln and the conditions on board that boat.
Plus, the Crown of Maine Balloon Festival is returning to Presque Isle. We'll tell you all about that as Good Morning Maine soars along.
You don't get to buy the government that you want.
But let's look at what Troy Jackson did, because Troy Jackson likes to keep it in the family. When Jackson was state Senate president, his son was one of the highest paid lobbyists in town. Special interests paid his son, and Jackson changed his positions. Was it a coincidence, or was something corrupt? Troy Jackson is just another dirty politician. SLF PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
They've got the sharpest pencil in town. And they just sit around that showroom figuring deals and whittling that old pencil down. They know that if you buy once, you're gonna be back. So instead of buying one, you're buying two, and that's a fact. They've got the sharpest.
So come on down, neighbor. The coffee pot's on and the pencil is sharp.
Come one, come all. Penobscot County's oldest furniture store is having a spectacular liquidation event. That's right, the Big Top is back. It's loaded with quality furniture and mattresses, and the discounts have been taken. You'll save at least 50% off list on mattresses, recliners, sofas, and more. If you're looking for a great piece of furniture to make your oasis complete, right now is a perfect time to check out the Big Top in Holden. Dorsey Furniture, Route 1A Holden, open 7 days a week until 5 p.m.
Some days start with busted belts and bruised knuckles. But out here, fixing things is just part of the ride. No matter what I'm doing, I have just the right tool close by. Then it's time to unwind and catch your breath, or maybe dinner. From fixing it right to living it fully, Coastal Auto Parts and Milwaukee Packout Systems help me get to the moments that matter most with the people that matter more.
Folks will have their sights set on the sky in Aroostook County during the annual Crown of Maine Balloon Fest. Hot air balloon pilots travel to the area every August to give people the opportunity to take a ride of a lifetime.
Our Jody Hersey has more on this annual adventure.
So if you've ever been near a hot air balloon, it's majestic.
For more than 20 years, the Crown of Maine Balloon Fest has been attracting kids and adults of all ages to the city of Presque Isle.
So there's no way for us to track who comes and how many times they come. But the best data that we get says that we have around 5,000 to 8,000 people who come from more than 50 miles away.
The pilots travel from throughout the country to participate in this event. This year, there will be 16 hot air balloons for spectators and participants to enjoy. Randy Lee will be piloting his balloon called Spellbound Spirit.
One day, I just decided it was time to ride in a hot air balloon, and from that day on, I've been hooked.
The festival offers both tethered and non-tethered balloon rides.
To do a hot air balloon ride, it is a very different experience. You don't feel like you're moving. You don't feel like you're way up high on a tower. Yes, tethered rides are exactly what they sound like. So they're tethered to the ground. They are tethered to multiple vehicles, so there is no chance of you going anywhere other than up and back down again.
The festival is not only eye-catching, it is also a big boost to the local economy.
We bring tourism to our community, to our businesses where people will stop at the gas station, hit up a restaurant, stay at the hotel.
The Crown of Maine Balloon Fest will take place August 28th through August 30th.
Crown of Maine Balloon Fest is definitely a family-oriented event. It is good old-fashioned fun.
In Presque Isle, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
I bet it's just amazing seeing all those balloons aloft too.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's even more fun to go up in one as well.
Yeah.
Well, now let's get a full look at our forecast with meteorologist Evan Biggs.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. Wave heights very calm out there this morning at around 1 to 2 feet. We have no advisories in effect offshore or even inland either, so definitely very calm out there this morning. In fact, wave heights farther out towards sea, very calm out there as well. Meanwhile, on land, the area of low pressure is moving away, taking the precipitation with it. So while that is wrapping up, we are still going to hold on to the wind out there today with gusty winds reaching up to about 25 miles per hour. Meanwhile, look at the Midwest. Other areas seeing a lot of showers and even some thunderstorms developing this morning. I know many other areas could definitely use some precipitation across a good good part of the country. Meanwhile, for us, Futurecast showing just some clouds developing today. It's definitely going to be a calm one out there for us outside of the wind. Later on tonight, we'll be under a mostly clear sky, and even for tomorrow, definitely a nice one out there as well. Just some clouds developing. That's about it. And then once we head towards Saturday night, still rather uneventful. And a gusty winds reaching up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour today. Still a few gusts out there later on tonight, reaching up to about 15 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, again, not bad. A few gusts up to around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Let's talk about the dew points real quick. And overall, you'll see them go up a little bit as we head towards your Sunday into the lower to perhaps middle 60s. So noticeable, but not bad. And then stable in the lower 60s Monday, down Tuesday, then right back up as we head towards your Wednesday. So partly cloudy and breezy today, upper 70s for the high, and that northwest wind getting up to about 25 miles per hour. By tonight, we have lower 50s, mostly clear, northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, we have upper 70s, partly cloudy, northwest wind, at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast for your Sunday. Mostly cloudy with highs in the lower 80s. Monday, showers and thunderstorms with highs in the lower 70s, so cooling off. And then Tuesday, partly cloudy with highs in the low 80s.
From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, quality in every stone.
Chevy drivers across America will do a lot in the next 5 years. But one thing they won't do is pay interest on their new Chevy. Right now, get 0% financing for 5 years on all 2026 Silverado 1500 models. With no payments for 90 days. Because you've earned this summer. Now it's time to go get it.
Visit your Maine Chevy dealers.
You don't get to buy the government that you want.
But let's look at what Troy Jackson did. Because Troy Jackson likes to keep it in the family. When Jackson was state Senate president, his son was one of the highest paid lobbyists in town. Special interests paid his son, and Jackson changed his positions. Was it a coincidence, or was something corrupt? Troy Jackson is just another dirty politician. SLF PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Craving something delicious? Welcome to High Street Market, located at 167 Enfield Road in Lincoln. Breakfast options? Grab a cup of coffee and try one of our sandwiches or burritos. When breakfast is over, we're just getting started. Pizza, subs, burgers, and pastries. Come get lost in Danny's Beer Cave. Order online and save 10% off your first order. High Street Market, where your taste buds go to party.
Well, we're learning more about the conditions and morale on the USS Abraham Lincoln, which has been at sea supporting the war with Iran for a record number of days.
There have also been concerning reports of suicide attempts among sailors, which the Navy denies. ABC's Karen Waugh is in Washington with more.
Filthy conditions, low morale, and suicide attempts are just some reports of sailors struggling on board the USS Abraham Lincoln. But this morning, the Pentagon denies these claims.
Completely misrepresented. Listen, we make sure that every ship, every crew, every captain has everything we can provide them at every single moment.
The warship has spent more than 8 months at sea to support the war in Iran. It's gone a record 200 straight days without a port call to give service members a break on land. Families of service members have reported moldy showers, broken toilets, food shortages, and no soap or toothpaste.
If the president has enough money to be gilding everything in sight in Washington, D.C., and to be building a ballroom for himself, but there's no money for plumbing or for enough to eat for our Marines and sailors. It makes no sense.
Families also claim at least 2 sailors have tried to jump off the ship, according to the Military Times. A U.S. official confirms 1 sailor did go overboard this month and was recovered. But Central Command insists a spike in suicidal thoughts are false, adding the crew remains resilient and resolved. In fact, an official says re-enlistment rates on the USS Lincoln are up. Democrats are furious and demanding an investigation.
Service members, spouses, and children, they're also serving their country. And we owe them not only gratitude, but we owe them a certain amount of respect that we're going to operate within like a certain, rules.
ABC News has learned the USS George Washington, which is docked in Japan, is heading to replace the Lincoln as part of a long-planned rotation. But it's unclear when this will happen. Karen Hua, ABC News, Washington.
We turn now to the growing backlash over surveillance cameras being used by police across the country. The company behind more than 120,000 license plate tracking cameras nationwide is promising some major changes. Flock cameras automatically photograph every passing car into a database police can search with no need of a warrant. The Washington Post reports at least 50 officers have been accused of misusing plate readers in different circumstances. In response to the growing backlash and privacy concerns, Flock now says it will delete its data after 7 days instead of 30, require a criminal case number for every database search, and automatically lock out officers whose activity looks abnormal. But privacy advocates claim that the changes don't go far enough.
Well, now to Luigi Mangione, the man accused of gunning down the CEO of a health insurance company. Mangione is expected to plead guilty today, but many questions remain about the future of the case against him.
ABC's Hannah Battah with more.
This morning, Luigi Mangione is expected to plead guilty to federal charges just weeks before his state murder trial is set to begin. Sources say the announcement is expected at a hearing in New York today. Legal experts say Mangione's guilty plea in the federal case could potentially allow him to avoid the state trial.
If he was ever going to have an argument about double jeopardy, this is the way to do it. Plead guilty in the federal case, make an argument in New York State where it's very protective against double jeopardy that he shouldn't be tried again.
Mangione faces 2 counts of federal stalking, resulting in the death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, who was gunned down on a New York sidewalk in 2024. Police say the words delay, deny, and depose were written on the ammunition, echoing a phrase used by insurance industry critics to describe how insurers avoid paying claims. A 5-day manhunt ended with Mangione's arrest in Pennsylvania. The Justice Department originally wanted the death penalty, but a judge threw out the federal murder charges in January, taking execution off the table.
I will bet that one of the requirements for Mangione is going to be that he wants to speak. He wants to make a statement.
Many questions remain ahead of today's hearing, such as what charges Mangione will plead guilty to? What will he get in return? And even if he does plead guilty in the federal case, will prosecutors argue that the state charges are different enough to proceed with next month's trial? Hannah Battah, ABC News, New York.
Well, coming up on the second half of the newscast, we'll learn all about the Herman Summer Sizzler happening this weekend.
Boy, they have all kinds of things planned.
So many.
A slime run, too.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
That sounds like, yeah, I'm interested in that. We'll tell you all about it as Good Morning Maine rolls along.
Kirk Fisher is a motorcycle attorney with first responder experience. He protects fellow riders and those in danger, fighting fires and fighting for your rights. Experienced, determined, and dedicated. Iron Horse Motorcycle Lawyers. Look for motorcycles, or Kirk Fisher will be looking for you.
He put his life on the line for his country. Senator Susan Collins isn't forgetting him or any of our veterans. She's delivered millions in federal funding to improve housing for veterans across Maine and provide housing vouchers to make sure Maine veterans have a place to call home. She's also worked tirelessly to provide the quality mental health care our veterans deserve. Call and tell Senator Collins to keep fighting for our veterans.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
And welcome back to Good Morning Maine. Today is Friday, August 14th, 2026. This is also Love Your Bookshop Day.
This holiday celebrates the invaluable role of local bookshops. It encourages us to appreciate the unique spaces that foster reading and knowledge. You can show your support by visiting your local shop, attend a reading, or even buy a new book.
And they could use the help too. They are always in competition with the big box stores and the
Definitely.
internet. And they add so much to our communities.
Yeah, luckily for us here, we have a lot of options for local bookstores, so
We
go
sure
support
do.
them.
Yeah. All right, it's time for some history. It was on this date back in 1936. Rainey Bethea was hanged in Kentucky during what would be the nation's last public execution. In 1935, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed the Social Security Act into law. It ensures income for elderly Americans and also creates a federal unemployment insurance program. And in 1975, the Rocky Horror Picture Show premiered in London. It became famous for the midnight showings around the U.S. and attracted a spirited audience that would throw props and talk back during the showing. The quirky movie would go on to have the longest theatrical release in history. I remember when
like a lot of fun.
I lived in Rhode Island, in Warwick, Rhode Island. There was a little shop there, a little movie theater, and they ran it for like 30 or 40 years, something like
goodness.
that. Every
Wow.
Friday night, and people would show up all dressed like the Rocky Horror characters. And
sounds
it was
like
a lot of
fun.
fun, yeah.
In 1995, Shannon Faulkner became the first female cadet in the history of the Citadel, South Carolina's military college. However, she then quit the school less than a week later, citing the stress of her court fight and her isolation among the male cadets. In 1997, Timothy McVeigh was formally sentenced to death for his role in the Oklahoma City bombing. And lastly, in 2003, a massive blackout hit parts of the Northeast in Canada. The disruption stopped trains and elevators and disrupted everything from cell towers to traffic at the airports. It was later determined that the blackout was caused by a software bug at a power plant, leaving millions in the dark.
All right, for birthdays today, they include actress Mila Kunis, who is 43 today. Basketball great Magic Johnson is 67. And comedian and actor Steve Martin, he's still a crazy guy.
He's a crazy guy.
At 81 years old. Happy birthday to them and to you also if your birthday is today.
We'll turn things right back over to meteorologist Evan Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Friday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. Your radar and satellite this morning. The last of the area low pressure is tracking off toward the north and to the east. So the last of the precipitation is done. We'll be under a partly cloudy sky today. The wind will be a little bit breezy at times, reaching up to about 25 miles per hour. Look at all the precipitation across parts of the Midwest. A lot of that is going on this morning. As for us, a lot calmer out there with a partly cloudy sky, and yes, we'll have the wind to deal with, but overall tonight we'll be under a mostly clear sky. So overall, there's the gusty winds today reaching up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour, and we'll lose the wind coming up later on tonight. Still a few gusts here or there, but nothing too ridiculous tonight in the parts of tomorrow. So for today, partly cloudy and breezy, upper 70s for the high, and that northwest wind getting up to about 25 miles per hour. The hourly forecast moving forward, lots of sunshine, some clouds for the afternoon, temperatures reaching for the upper 70s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
All right, thank you, Devin. Well, still to come here this morning, Max Sturm with sports.
And we'll be hearing about the Herman Summer Sizzler.
Sizzler.
Yeah, it's going to be great weather for it, too. That and more coming up.
These are the small space solutions America's waited 250 years for. Bob's Betty Bedroom. It packs a style punch in even the smallest of spaces. Betty Dining, thousands of 5-star reviews, 4 fantastic colors. The Aspen Sofa, Bob-O-Pedic seats, channeled upholstery, and the Phantom that one customer wrote they loved so much they decided to buy the love seat.
Because nothing's more American than doubling down.
Oh, my Bob!
Bob's Discount Furniture.
I'm Barry Higgins from Maple Lane Farm. We have our own beef herd here. We run about 800 head, and it's raised right here on the farm. And we go direct to the consumer. No middleman, all natural, good old-fashioned Maine beef. Our quality is unbeatable. We have specials on Facebook every week. We guarantee our product 100%, whether it be beef, pork, or chicken. And we have a small selection of lamb also.
Maple Lane Farm, a candy store for a carnivore.
I went to work in the woods after high school. The harder we worked, the more that the companies took from us. That's why we organized. We made them listen. People are doing everything they can right and still cannot get ahead. Susan Collins keeps telling us everything is just fine. Who has she served? She has served Donald Trump. She has served the billionaires. She has served herself. We are getting screwed, and I'm running to change that.
Government that works PAC's responsible for the content of this ad.
Think you're good at trivia? Arrange these holidays, these historic firsts, these animals. By the way,
I have no idea.
Congratulations, you have built the perfect line. I'm Deborah Norville, and this is the perfect line.
Onion rings before, in between onion rings and pizza.
Definitely after. Oh, this is what happy looks like.
Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
See new perspectives of Diana's fatal crash. Was it an accident?
I think Princess Diana was murdered.
Celebrity crime scene, Princess Diana, Thursday, August 20th on Fox.
The long wait is over. Welcome back in. Thanks for staying with us. The Patriots are finally back in action. Well, preseason action, but hey, we'll take what we can get. Anyway, Colts versus Pats. Let's run it. In the first half, it was a battle of two absolute goats, Tommy DeVito for the Patriots and Anthony Richardson for the Colts. Richardson takes off in the second quarter. He breaks upfield, but the ball is punched out. Pats recover later in the half. Pats finally get into the end zone, and it's DeVito puts it right in the breadbasket for Kyle Williams on the receiving end, tacks 7 on to the Patriots' lead. Colts respond before halftime, though. Richardson takes it in himself on the tush-push, and it is now a 3-point game once again. Early in the second half, Indy with the ball, and now Riley Leonard is going to throw it down the field, air it out, but not on target as it's picked off by John Saunders Jr. for the fourth takeaway of this game. And this one comes down to the wire, but no winner. It ends in a 13-13 tie. Well, football season isn't just here for the Patriots or for you, Maine. The Hudson University Eagles took to the field for their first practice of the new season.
Very close, very connected, and ready to get this thing going.
It is almost that time. On Thursday, the Hudson University Eagles football team took the field for their first practice of the 2026 preseason.
Oh my gosh, feels great. Not the nicest day, but you know, got a little bit of sunshine coming through. It's always great when you can come out here and play football, you know. I'm so excited. I just put the helmet back on for the first time, running back onto the field. There's nothing like it.
There's a lot of hard work to put in for Hudson ahead of their first game. But on day one, the focus is to set the standard and improve one day at a time.
Hey, we just want to get better every day. You know, it's going to be a grind. We're going to be out here for 17 days. We have, practice in the morning every day, ball walk through, lifts. It's a grind, and I think that all the guys here are just ready to work, and that's the best part about being here at Hudson.
As it does every season, the Eagles roster has changed from the previous year. Seniors graduated, forcing veterans to step up into leadership roles. For junior captain Braden Trombley, that means being the guy his teammates can come to for support.
Just try to make sure that everybody feels comfortable. It's a big adjustment, especially these first few days being away from home. A lot of guys haven't done something like this before, so just making sure that they have someone that they can go to.
And for Brody Gibson, his role as a leader comes along with his promotion as the Eagles' new starting quarterback.
It's been great, being able to come out here and lead these guys is awesome, and for them to trust me to do that is just the greatest blessing, And Coach Clark, he's always been great. He's always kept my head on straight, kept me looking in the right direction, and then ready to go. I'm ready to take this thing over and lead these guys.
Among those Trombley and Gibson will lead many new faces who will put on a college jersey for the very first time.
We have a lot of young guys coming in, and we already have a culture here at us, and we kind of a way we do things, and they're learning, they're stepping into that role, and obviously that's going to be hard for them, but I'm here to help them out. Our boys are here to help them out.
From the Winkin Complex, Max Sturm, ABC 7 and Fox 22 Sports. All right, now for some news regarding our other local football team. The Black Bears are going to be hosting their annual Meet the Bears event this Sunday, August 16th. The clinic will be held at Morse Field at Alphonse Stadium at 5:30 p.m. on Sunday and will be free for all ages. Following the clinic, fans are welcome to stay on the field, meet and get free autographs from players, enjoy free pizza and drinks, and take home a 2026 schedule poster. Again, the event is free, and if you and your family or friends want to attend, you can register at goblackbears.com/form/119. Okay, let's have a quick check-in with the Boston Red Sox, who are looking to break their 5-game loss streak. Game 4 of the Blue Jays series, and it starts well for the Sox as Wilson Contreras knocks this ball out into center field. It's a double, and that sends Wilyer Abreu home for the early 1-0 lead. Now check out this nice play in the 3rd inning. Hit goes out to 3rd, throw goes to second base, and then to 1st for the sweet double play. And then in the top of the 8th, Caleb Durbin with the bases loaded. He takes advantage, nukes this one over the wall. It's a grand slam, and what a way to respond as the Sox take a 7-0 victory. That is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Hi, I'm Tony with TC Hafford Basement Systems. A poorly sealed and under-insulated home will leave you with higher energy bills. We've partnered with Dr. Energy Saver to offer the best energy-saving solutions that keep the temperatures in your home comfortable and help you save big on energy costs. Attic insulation, spray foam insulation, and whole home energy evaluation. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementing.
Disturbing news about threats of violence against women. Is it Graham Plattner again? No, it's Troy Jackson. When a female legislator disagreed with Jackson, he threw a water bottle at her in anger. The woman was deeply frightened. Jackson was known for bullying, and his screaming felt like intentional intimidation. His brash conduct with women raised alarm bells about his temperament. Troy Jackson, another phony we can't trust. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
At Maine's #1 Kia dealer, Darling's Kia, we've got something for everyone. Shop our full lineup of new all-wheel drive, gas, EV, hybrid, or plug-in hybrid Kias. Plus, enjoy affordable lease programs and more incredible savings on award-winning Kias. And at Darling's Kia, your new vehicle is covered by our 10-year or 100,000-mile warranty. The best in the business. The best cars, the best prices, and the best warranty. Shop Darling's Kia. You'll do better at Darling's.
Hank's Husqvarna is your trusted full-line Husqvarna dealer, offering you everything you need for your outdoor projects. From high-performance lawn tractors and zero-turn mowers to chainsaws, trimmers, battery-powered and powerful snow blowers, we have just what you need. Every piece of equipment is fully set up, serviced, and ready for use by our certified Husqvarna technician. And all sales are backed by our in-house Husqvarna warranty. For parts, service, or new equipment sales, make your way to Hank's Husqvarna in Carmel or Newport.
Something fun to do with your family this weekend, look no further. You may want to head on over to Herman. They're launching their annual Herman Sizzler Days, and they have all kinds of fun things planned for the weekend ahead. Joining us today is Lindsay Willette. You are the director of Herman Parks and Rec, and your partner in crime is Isaiah Marseille.
Yep, absolutely.
And you work for the rec department as well.
Yep.
First of all, thanks for coming. I'll start with you. We'll assume that somebody's just arrived on a spaceship from outer space. They've never heard of Herman Summer Sizzler. What is it?
So it is our town's annual community event. We host it in August every summer at the elementary school, and we have a full day planned starting as early as 8 a.m. We have a slime run.
Yeah, what's that all about? I saw that on your website, and it caught my attention.
Yeah, so it's a really fun event. So we set up a track outside on the soccer fields.
Yep.
And kids get to sign up, and they get a t-shirt, a white t-shirt, and there's volunteers that line up around the outside of the track and squirt them with slime as they go through the the whole race.
So it's like a color run, only with
Yeah.
nasty, icky slime.
Yeah, they get covered head to toe.
And I bet they have a blast doing it
Yeah.
too. That sounds
Yep.
great. And Isaiah, what other things you go? It just packed with things. You have little other kind of races or challenges.
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
So along with the slime run in the morning, we have a 5K and a 10K road race that some of the older kids and the adults are able to do. That's new this year. So we're excited to bring that in. We also have a car show that starts at 9 a.m. 10 a.m. or 9 a.m.?
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Starts at 10 a.m.
Close enough.
Registration opens at 8 a.m.
Okay.
In the past, we have had 100 cars
Really?
enter in the competition. So there's a trophy for best in show, and then there's a top 10 participant vote. So yeah, it's really fun.
And they come
it's
from
cool.
all
They
over,
come from
too.
all
It's really cool
over.
cars.
Yeah. There's a whole crew of men that like to come out and show off their vehicles, and there's anywhere from like really old antique vehicles to new ones too. It's really cool to
Very
see.
neat. Other things, you've got some entertainment and some food as well?
Yeah. So we always invite a lot of food trucks, local food trucks to come, and that's one of my favorite parts.
Me too.
Yeah, for sure. Local food trucks come and show up, and we love that. We've also got a 3-on-3 basketball tournament.
Oh, okay.
For middle schoolers. This will be our second year doing that. That's always super
neat.
fun to watch too.
Did I hear there's a barbecue somewhere too, like a community
There is,
barbecue?
yeah. So every year we partner with Herman Baptist Church, and they put on a full barbecue meal, free for everybody. That starts at 4 p.m. And goes until the food runs out. So they have a pretty big group of people that show up over there. So
sounds delicious too.
Yes, it's great.
Yeah.
They have everything. They even do dessert. So
yeah, both of you guys grew up in Herman, right? Or
Yes.
from
We did.
Herman, and
Yeah.
you've been working at the Parks and Rec for a while.
Yep.
Let me ask you both, what do you like about doing this? It really kind of brings the community together.
Absolutely. Every single day is different.
Right.
Like this week we finished up our summer camps at the middle school. So I kind of played the part of being a leader in that camp, but really at the end of the day, I'm running the athletic department in there.
Right.
So no day is the same. It's a lot of on your feet moving around. It's not a office job 9 to 5, which I'm not sure that I would love. So I like the fact that there's a variety of different things that I'm doing.
You get to work with the kids
Yeah,
too?
kids, adults, parents, seniors, every age.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah.
What do you like about all this?
Well, a lot of my stuff is behind the scenes working in the office, so I really, really look forward to this big community event every year because it's a chance to get outside of the office and really, interact with the community members and the families that I'm mostly dealing with over the phone and email daily.
You get to see them having fun and doing these things.
Yeah, we have a bounce house company that we use called Wicked Bounce House. They are going to provide 6 big bounce houses and lots of yard games too for everybody to enjoy throughout the day too. So
I think the best
really
thing
fun.
for people to do is maybe go online and check out your webpage. And I know you have it on Facebook too, a whole list of events coming up.
Yep, so our website is hermanrec.com. And then we can also be found on Facebook, just Herman Recreation.
All right. Well, you guys do a great job with this every year. I bet you people will have a blast. And of course, it all ends with fireworks tomorrow night.
That's right.
Can't miss the fireworks.
We have great fireworks.
Yeah, going to be great. All right. Well, thank you both for coming in today. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend and get lots of people out there. I know the weather's going to cooperate. And speaking of the weather, let's turn things back over to Devin for a final look at that forecast.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. Wave heights very calm out there this morning at around 1 to 2 feet. We have no advisories in effect offshore or even inland either, so definitely very calm out there this morning. In fact, wave heights farther out towards sea, very calm out there as well. Meanwhile, on land, the area of low pressure is moving away, taking the precipitation with it. So while that is wrapping up, we are still going to hold on to the wind out there today with gusty winds reaching up to about 25 miles per hour. Meanwhile, look at the Midwest. Other areas seeing a lot of showers and even some thunderstorms developing this morning. I know many other areas could definitely use some precipitation across a good good part of the country. Meanwhile, for us, Futurecast showing just some clouds developing today. It's definitely going to be a calm one out there for us outside of the wind. Later on tonight, we'll be under a mostly clear sky, and even for tomorrow, definitely a nice one out there as well. Just some clouds developing. That's about it. And then once we head towards Saturday night, still rather uneventful. And a gusty winds reaching up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour today. Still a few gusts out there later on tonight, reaching up to about 15 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, again, not bad. A few gusts up to around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Let's talk about the dew points real quick. And overall, you'll see them go up a little bit as we head towards your Sunday into the lower to perhaps middle 60s. So noticeable, but not bad. And then stable in the lower 60s Monday, down Tuesday, and then right back up as we head towards your Wednesday. So partly cloudy and breezy today, upper 70s for the high, and that northwest wind getting up to about 25 miles per hour. By tonight, we have lower 50s, mostly clear, northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, we have upper 70s, partly cloudy, northwest wind, at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast for your Sunday. Mostly cloudy with highs in the lower 80s. Monday, showers and thunderstorms with highs in the lower 70s, so cooling off. And then Tuesday, partly cloudy with highs in the low 80s.
In the ICU, I've seen patients being bankrupted by the cost of care, and they're having to travel 3 and 4 hours to receive that care. This didn't just happen. Susan Collins voted to support Donald Trump on the largest Medicaid cut in history. Healthcare is getting even more expensive. People are losing coverage. Labor and delivery centers are closing. Hospitals are closing. We need to tell Susan Collins to stop siding with Donald Trump. We can't afford it.
Around here, you take pride in your home, and who you trust to work on it matters. That's why folks turn to AF&F Carpentry. From kitchens and custom woodwork to full home renovations, we bring military-grade discipline and focus to every project. Our work has been featured on Operation CEO. No shortcuts, no surprises, just solid craftsmanship you can count on. AF&F Carpentry, serving Maine homeowners with pride.
Welcome to Kings Mountain RC and Hobby Shop in Brewer.
And some call me the King.
There are RC trucks, cars, crawlers, and parts aplenty. There are planes, metal detectors, and gear galore. I have decreed that all people can book birthday parties with their RC vehicles provided for all. We have indoor and outdoor tracks and crawling courses available. Bring yourself, your family, and friends to Kings Mountain RC and Hobby Shop, South Main Street, Brewer.
You know Matt pretty well. Did he give you any advice?
He said that I should use 26 words or more.
When every word counts.
Trash panda.
Raccoon.
Yeah.
You hand me a trash panda. That was gangster.
It pays to choose wisely.
Wed, Thurs.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You just won it!
25 words or less every weekday.
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22. Someone who purchased a lottery ticket in the Gem City is now a billionaire. Wednesday night's Powerball drawing for more than $1 billion produced one ticket in Quincy, Illinois that matched all 6 numbers. The ticket was sold at a Fast and Fresh gas station at North 36 and Broadway Streets. The winning numbers drawn were 4, 26, 66, 67, 69, and Powerball 9. The jackpot is the 8th largest in the game's 34-year history, the 6th jackpot win this year, and the biggest so far in 2026. Illinois lottery law says that the winner can remain anonymous if they choose to do so, and when they claim the winnings at the central office in Springfield, they can also claim at one of the centers as well. Very cool.
Imagine that, waking up and realizing that you
You're
won
a
$1 billion
billionaire.
last night. What do you do?
I would probably, I don't know, book a really long trip abroad.
That'd be great. I doubt I would be getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day anymore after that. But
exactly.
yeah, but that would be fun.
It would be.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time that we have left for this morning. But as always, we thank you for joining us.
Yeah, we'll see you back here Monday morning. We hope you have a great weekend. You've got the Summer Sizzler, the Skowhegan Fair. And
got some stuff going on at Tiller and Rye.
That's right. All
So
kinds
much.
of things going on. So we hope you have a great weekend, and we thank you for joining us.
Today, on 25 words or less, he needs absolutely no introduction. Well, except maybe an introduction to a better agent. It's Dan Bukatinsky. And joining Dan are co-workers Eleanor and Claudia. Her books have helped me through some really tough times, but I don't need to remind you guys how hard it was to find